Hello, hello, and welcome to my weekly win. So much news this week, so let's just get started. I want to make a quick mention that Gestalt Seam and Cinder was delayed from its original release date of May 21st, a date that they announced on April 10th to July 16th because it needs a little final polish. I hope it comes out in a solid state, and while delays suck for everyone that wants to play the game as soon as possible, I would always rather a game be delayed than force people to work with an endless crunch to try to get them out on the original deadline, or just pushed out with a bunch of bugs. To be fair, getting out of the month of May might be for the best because this month has been insane with indie releases. I intended to include announcements of games or updates on games and whatnot, but no, too many awesome games to go. Hey, look, you can buy this now, so go look at it instead of, all these other announcements, which, I think the most important news for indie games in general is highlighting awesome releases when they come out. At number 6 is Read Only Memories Neurodiver. It's the sequel to 2064 Read Only Memories, a game that I regrettably haven't gotten around to playing yet. Perhaps I'll stream that one sometime, but for now we'll focus on the sequel. It's launching at $14.99, though it's at $13.49 with a launch discount. Odds are good that this will be another really charming game to go through. First game is really well liked by those who played it, and after so many years cooking, I doubt the follow-up will be bad. And number 5 is Paladins. Paladin's a game I've had my eye on for a while, and it's the only game this week I've played the demo of, and that's likely why it's down near the bottom of the list. I love the concept, and I enjoyed what I played of it, but I wasn't quite sold on the entire plan. The time loop mechanics were interesting, and exploring things and discovering different things was fun, but I'm worried that having to replay things repeatedly could quickly become tedious as I tried to figure out what to do next. I was curious if the game had multiple campaigns to play through, or just be one that would be a bigger, more area to explore when the final game came out, and as far as I can tell, it's just the one with a bunch to explore. It features co-op support so you can play with friends, but while the first few hours would be a blast, I question how the game would hold up as it gets deeper and you have to repeat a bunch of events. I was hoping at launch I'd have the answer, but alas, as I record this, there's just not too much info to run off of. But I still want to highlight it. It looks well made, it's definitely something I'll pick up down the line regardless, but at $25 base and $22.49 with the launch discount, it's just hard to jump in, let alone convince my friends to jump in as well. At number 4 is Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, a new game from the makers of Sayonara Wild Hearts. And as I record this, it's already reviewing quite well, sitting at an 87 on Metacritic. If you look at my Nintendo Indie World reactions, you'll see I had little doubt this game would turn out well, and while it will get talked about some, it still deserves to be highlighted. It's going to be overlooked by a lot of people. It's $24.99 for anyone interested. At 3 is Mullet Mad Jack. Now, I'm not big into the whole boomer shooter scene myself. I'll play a few here and there, but in general, I just appreciate them for what they are. But I don't need to be an expert on the scene to know this one looks really well made. The 90 Metascore will also back me up there. Launching at $19.99 with a discount down to $17.99, and with randomly generated sages, this one seems like the type of game that if you're a fan of shooters like this, you definitely should take a closer look. And number 2 is Gatekeeper. This one wasn't on my radar at all last week, but it looks really neat. It launched at $14.99, but the launch discount has it down to $11.99, or if you already own Soulstone Survivors or Brotato, it's down to $10.19 in a bundle that includes them, which for the record, both of those games are worth looking into as well. This game is a co-op roguelike, which basically looks like a top-down Risk of Rain 2. And I played a lot of Risk of Rain 2, and this is reviewing quite well on Steam and looks a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I might have actually played too much Risk of Rain 2 with my friends to the point where I pointed this game out to them and they're like, oh, that looks funnish, but I don't think I want to play something like Risk of Rain 2 with you again yet. Oops. Finally, at number 1 is Anthean Raspity, another one that didn't catch my radar at all before this week. It's the crazy part about the current indie scene that there's so many great games that trying to keep up with all of them is extremely hard. I'm far from an expert or fully devoted to the indie scene, but I know quite a bit more than the average person. But there's still tons of games I just don't know about that are awesome looking. In this case, let me just read part of the description from the Steam page. Quote, a Souls-like platonic dating simulator with cooking mama and warrior style batting mechanics. And by that, I mean it's a choose-your-own-adventure action RPG with the ability to trade entire playthroughs between friends. End quote. I don't really know what that means, but the current Steam reviews are loving it, and comments are comparing it to Undertale. Another game I really need to play through sometime. But it's quickly made it to my list of things that should be highlighted. The final thing I want to note is something that I originally saw posted on Polygon. Without getting into a ton of details, not that long ago, Adult Swim Games, owned by Warner Brothers, who is looking to cut costs everywhere, still is going to delist all their games that they published, leaving a lot of games without a way to continue getting sales. There was some obvious backlash to this because it just sucks, and they seem to have backtracked on this some. It seems they won't be delisting the games anymore, and some cases will just be transferring the rights to the creators. You might be thinking that Adult Swim Games doesn't really feel all that indie. It's part of Warner, right? Well, Adult Swim published a ton of notable indie games over the years. To name a few of them, Super House of the Dead Ninjas, Duck Game, Rain World, which is no longer published by them, and Battleship Parade are just few. Battleship's also no longer published by them, and just happens to be a game I'm recently streaming, by the way. I figured indie games continuing to be able to be on sale instead of being delisted and stuck in limbo was news worth mentioning. And that's all this week. Currently, next week looks a little quieter on the game release front, but we'll always see what games I missed as we get closer to next week's episode. Until next time, I hope everyone stays well.